So let's talk about how you name a ray. Pictured here in green at the top are two rays. You always name it starting with the end point, then the other point. It takes 2 points to name a ray, and it has to have the symbol above it. So we've just written the notation to name this ray AB that we see below. Likewise, to name this ray to the right, since the end point's at X, it continues through Y and goes on for forever, we would note it XY. The endpoint always has to be the first letter of the ray's name. It does not matter which way the ray faces. That's just the rule. So let's come down to the next two examples. Even though C is the first letter in the alphabet, D is the endpoint. So this ray here would clearly have to be named, there's my symbol, DC. That is the only correct way to name that ray right there. Likewise, this ray over here, F is the endpoint. I can put my ray symbol in. It starts at F, goes through G, and goes on forever. Opposite rays are two rays that share an endpoint but travel forever in opposite directions. So the opposite rays in this picture, the endpoint B goes through A in that direction, so I have ray BA is an opposite ray to ray BC. Interesting to note that opposite rays always form a line, which is a straight angle, which is 180 degrees. Okay, so here's an advanced picture where we could pick out several opposite rays. You can stop the video, practice writing them down, and then come back and compare and see if you correctly named opposite rays in this picture. Stop it now. Okay, if you tried and you've just come back, you could have seen that ray NM and ray NO are opposite rays. Since it only takes 2 points to name a ray, you could have written the name for the ray NO in many ways. You could have said ray NM and ray NP are opposite rays. You could have said ray NM and ray NQ are opposite rays. You could have said ray ON, O being the endpoint going there to the left, and ray OQ or ray OP. Hopefully you get the idea that there are many correct answers here, but that opposite rays have to share the same endpoint, and that's always the first letter in their name. So here's two N's, here's two N's, here's two N's, here's two O's. We could have said another example could have been ray PN and ray PQ, and they'd share the endpoint P. So I want you to remember that opposite rays form a straight angle. That means that's 180 degrees. I wrote down here linear pair relationship because think about it. If you had opposite rays here, we'll go A, B, C, and you had a random point off of that line, such as D. When you connect B to D for a ray, you end up with two adjacent angles that share a line. Therefore, they're a linear pair that we've studied before. Okay, linear pairs are always two angles that are adjacent and they're supplementary.